Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, click the bell icon to know when I go live, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Twitter, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on TradingView, even Instagram for some motivational gym workouts. One word, it's right here. It's Crypto Bull God, no underscores, nothing like that. One word, Crypto Bull God. Appreciate the support, everybody, on the thumbs up. I have not gotten used to, I gotta say, brought this up before. I got this brand new phone here, this, Apple, man, when they ring you in, right? I've had an iPhone for, I don't even know. I think this is the third or fourth iteration of iPhones that I've had. Third? No, fourth. So I had an iPhone 8. Yes, 8. And got to the point where the battery was crazy. You know, it would show me that it was 1% charged, and it would still run for a very long time. But the battery always had issues. And when you would connect it in, like the connector wouldn't stay in. So it was the worst. It was such a pain in the ass. And I spent a lot of time complaining about it. And finally, it's just a personality thing, you know. So finally I went out and got an iPhone 12. This is an iPhone 12 Pro. And the thing is, I have not gotten off of the habit of plugging the phone in. Like, the phone does not need to be plugged. Like, this thing is at 98% battery, and I just had it plugged in for some reason. I don't know why I had it plugged in. Well, I know why I had it plugged in, because I'm so conditioned. What's up, Angry 8? I'm so conditioned to have this thing plugged in because it would always, welcome in, Alex, it would always die on me. So I have to get accustomed. Here's something new. Last night when I went to bed, did not plug in the phone on the charger. Just let that thing go. I woke up, the thing was still like 85% charged. It is a beautiful thing. I'm really enjoying this phone. This is like the best gift that I gave to myself, you know? I have a feeling, as much as I love my car so much. Anything ever happens to that thing, God help me. But I have a feeling the same thing's going to happen when I get a new car. Like, I'm going to always enjoy driving the Integra. That is my car. But when I do get a new car, it's just going to be like, why the fuck didn't I do this sooner? This is the greatest thing ever. But, when you don't have these things, you appreciate it more, when you actually have them. So, it is what it is. But, as I had indicated yesterday, the sole focus for today's video is going to be on altcoins, the USD pairings. I was thinking about making tomorrow's emphasis on the Bitcoin relativities. But for today, again, we had this April close, okay, for the month of April. And so we have a monthly candlestick. And what I want to do is, on the charts where it makes sense, I want to take a look at monthly time frames for a lot of these alt projects where it doesn't make sense, where we don't have as much historical price data. We're going to either look at weekly or 2 weekly candlesticks, and we're still going to discuss the altcoins. I have a lot of charts. You can see them all laid out here. I have a ton of charts that we're going to take a look at. But for today's stream, I could give two shits less how late this goes. So I'm going to cover all of these charts. And then as we start to get towards the end, I'm going to ask you to sort of drop in the comments here. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you to drop into the comments any charts that I did not cover, what you'd like me to go over. But I'm starting to know my audience more and more and more. So I think some of these charts I feel confident in saying you would have inevitably asked for anyway. So with that being said, let's get into it. You're not here for me to talk about iPhones. You're here for me to talk about the charts. This is a monthly view on XRP. XRP has a ton of price data, so we most certainly can take a look at price action on the monthly. Not a lot has changed. We broke out of this descending resistance. We hit this main area up here towards 58.5 cents. We literally wicked perfect on a prior area of price confluence that I had identified. We haven't, look at that, it touched perfectly. And we haven't been able to break that area. We're sort of hovering between, let's just call it 40 cents and 58.5. All right. On the monthly, that's kind of how I would draw it. And really, we're just waiting for a push up. Next major area here is between 83 cents and 58.5. But when we look at the price indicators here, what's encouraging to see for XRP, we flattened out on the MACD. The histogram is starting to decline in bearish fashion. And that was probably stated poorly. It's starting to, the bearishness and oversold territories are starting to wane out. That's a better way to state it. But really what we're waiting for is just a little cross up here. Will it happen May? Will it happen June? Will it happen July? And we're right near the zero trigger line. Again, you have to understand, anytime I'm pointing something out to you guys on a higher time frame like this, it's a lot more significant, the bullish price action and the stability that is being created in the price action on a higher time frame relative to a daily or a 12-hour view, okay, even a 3-day view. Looking at a month, let me put it to you this way. When we look at a lot of these charts, we crossed negative on the MACD back in January of 22. My God, it's the year 23. So this was 15 months ago, okay? The MACD has been negative for 15 fucking months, all right? And we finally have flattened out waiting for a cross, okay? The last time we have seen positive crosses on the MACD, you can see the explosion on price, okay? So this is significant. Let's take a look at the RSI on the monthly as well. RSI is sitting at 48. It's healthy. It's got a lot of room to run to the upside. It's sort of neutral. Stochastic RSI 64 over 50, which is great. That's bullish. So a lot of room to run to the upside. Real quick, the other thing I wanted to point out on XRP, I had pointed this out before, but if we take a look at one key moving average, the 200, I really wanted price to stay above the 200 simple moving average on XRP. That would have expressed a greater degree of strength. You can see that sitting right around 50 cents. If you recall, if you've been here the past couple weeks, I said, the most bullish thing you would like to see for XRP, now that we broke up, let's get off the price indicators. Now that we broke up above this 200 SMA, see how we had price action up here? I wanted to maintain price levels around 50 cents. We fell back below it. So because we're back below this key moving average on the weekly, 50 cents, and 50 cents is also a psychological level. It's going to act as an area of resistance because we're below the moving average, okay? So trying to get above it should prove to be a little bit difficult. So a decent amount of price confluence here that we're going to have to fight above. I mean, really, like I said, 58.5, upwards of 83 cents roughly is the next zone I'm looking for XRP. Getting to Ethereum, I had just tweeted this out. Ethereum is looking uber bullish. So why do I say that? This is the monthly. The blue line is the 15 exponential moving average. You can see the last time we broke resistance and we maintained prices above the blue line, we rode it up, okay? We just broke resistance and we're back above this 15 EMA. Will we ride it up? We will have to wait and see, but this is very bullish on a higher time frame like this. The other thing I want to point out with Ethereum, you're going to see a lot of common themes here. It just depends the degree of bullishness that I'm expressing to you. Look at the MACD. Is this not the same thing we looked at with XRP? In fact, this looks even more bullish because we're closer to our trigger line at 0, and we're really close to crossing here. RSI is around the same level as XRP. It's at about 50, 51 here, and stochastic RSI looks very healthy. We're well above 20. The blue trigger line is at 52, and the orange line is at 42. So we have the blue above the orange, which is good to see. So all things are pointing at a go for Ethereum. Now, on this higher time frame, I've identified 3 key levels that you're going to want to watch for. Again, depending what time frame you're evaluating a chart, that's going to kind of set up for you your areas of resistance and support, your areas of price confluence. On a higher time frame like this, I've identified 2200, 2700, and 3450. Okay, those are the key areas that we want to watch for. I mean, really, ideally, when we see prices enter this zone right here, this is really when you should start to get excited. And that sits between 2700 and 3450. Because look, once we get up in this zone and we can turn these prior 2 lines here from red to green and their areas of support, once we break 3450, there's not a lot of price confluence up here. Price doesn't have a lot of resistance to run into to have what you would call a blue sky breakout, meaning there's a break to the upside where there's no price data. We're creating new all-time highs, okay? So there's not a lot of price confluence here that once we break 34.50, we couldn't see a blue sky breakout relatively soon. So these things, again, can escalate quickly in price. Look at Ethereum. When we were above the 15 exponential moving average on the monthly, okay, when we had 2 solid months closed above, you can see, how should we look at this time frame wise? You can see after 2 months, it took us 304 days to create our, this wasn't technically the all-time high, but this is an expanded flat correction. So really the all-time high was up here, but I would call the high of the wave 3 movement 304 days, right? So something similar if that span played out, you're looking at April of next year, right? Which would be 4 months. Using this as guidance, that would be 4 months over what I'm calling for in terms of Bitcoin topping this year, right? Something interesting to point out to you guys, I actually wanted to, this is a good transition point. Before we get into Cardano, welcome in BCK. We love those blue sky breakouts. CL, BCH, Bitcoin Cash. Save the TA questions for the end, and we can certainly take a look. Haven't charted BCH in a while. I tweeted this out earlier today, and I want everyone to keep this in mind, okay? What I'm doing on this channel, the content that you're getting from me, is my honest, grounded evaluation of the charts, right? And the only thing that myself and other value-added technicians can do is we use all of this historical price data, right? All of this price data, what we do is we use this and currently what's going on to make some sort of informed decision, some sort of inference about what we can expect in the short, medium, and long-term projection, right? That's all we can do. Again, all day at work, all I do is deal with data, numbers, and quite often my responsibility is to use historical data and current data. It's historical by nature if it isn't in real time, historical data. And I'm using that data to make inferences about what we can expect from a risk profile perspective moving forward as an actuary. It's the same thing as a technical analyst. I'm using price data, historical data, to make inferences regarding what I can anticipate moving forward, right? One of the things that I'm calling out here in this tweet, and this is very critical to understand, even though I've come up with a range, right? I've kind of come up with this range for Bitcoin. Again, it's not about picking a specific dollar price point. What's a range of possible outcomes that you feel are probable, right? So that's what I've identified here for Bitcoin, 110 to 180, right? And I've also identified, hey, I believe that Bitcoin's going to top sometime between September and December of this year, right? Completing that 5th wave in the Elliott wave structure. The other important thing to call out is that this is a very volatile market, okay? And it would be very difficult to make an exact call of any nature, okay? But one of the things that I'm recognizing here is, given the level of uncertainty and volatility, as best as we do as technicians to derive meaningful targets, there's a degree of margin associated with that to account for volatility, right? For things to go, there's a deviation, okay? Some sort of standard deviation, okay? There's a deviation associated with those projections, right? And so what I'm attempting to do is to call that out here. I'm saying, hey, look, I came up with this price range, but honestly, and it's just a gut feel, gut check, I'm throwing a 30% margin in there in that estimate that I could be off. And what that really gives us is, hell, Bitcoin could top between 77 and 235, all right? So I'm calling out the fact that while I'm logically trying to come up with some sort of price range here, I could certainly be off. I could be well off by 10, 20, 30%, right? Same thing with timing. I'm still anticipating Bitcoin to top this year, okay? But accounting for the fact that obviously I could be off with timing, I'm throwing a 6-month margin for deviation in the timing, right? So while I'm looking at September to December of this year, I'm accounting for the fact that, shit, this could run as late as June of next year. All right? So I think it is just important, and I understand if you're not analytically minded, you're not as much into the numbers, and you're not as much into math, that you can't appreciate to some degree what I'm saying. Everybody who is, I'm sure, can appreciate. But I'm just trying to call out here that as much as I try to do a really good job of trying to come up with something that is rational and logical based on the information presented to me, there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of volatility. This is an immature, naive market. Okay, so I'm doing my best to call that out. So just wanted to bring attention to that. All right, got a little sidetracked there. Jorge, don't panic. I've owned the name BBC now since, I mean, you come in here every single time and you call me BBC, so you know what, I'm going to own it. So BBC is in the motherfucking building. What else, sweet cheeks? At least you can make me laugh. You know, the older I've gotten, I certainly have gotten a lot more. I see humor in a lot of things. And sometimes, I might have mentioned this yesterday, actually, even when it's an extremely challenging time and you know, certain things are going on, I just find the humor in things and I try to make light of things, because what's it all for, right? You can't take life too seriously. Right, you really can't. You can't. And this is coming from a guy who grew up in an environment where, as much as I love my father, I love my parents to death, I do. My dad was about as straight-laced as they come, I got to tell you. Let's see, who else we got in the house here? You got some bromance going on. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all good, man. You know, I bat for one team and one team only, but nothing wrong with a little bromance. Sweet Cheeks is better than Bud. Yeah, I would. You know, Sweet Cheeks, because I can see the humor in it. I hate Bud. Sweet Cheeks. Hope everyone is having a good week. You're welcome, HSB. I hope everyone is having a good week. It's gotta tell you, forget if I had posted this on Instagram, but man, I was looking at the weather forecast for this week down here where I'm at in South Florida. I mean, the weather is beautiful. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. All week it's supposed to be sunny. I want to do stuff to enjoy the weather and be outside, go to a happy hour, meet up with people, maybe grab a bite to eat, do something outside, maybe go golfing. Yeah. Thank you, BCK. I appreciate that. Good evening, Rashid. You do squat a lot, so it makes sense. Yeah, if you follow me on Instagram, you can see how much weight I squat. Okay, so this is Cardano. Now with Cardano, the chart that I really like on Cardano, I decided to stick with a weekly on this one. I don't think there's quite enough price data for me. I mean, I guess you could argue there is. We can take a look at a monthly, right? You could look at a monthly here. But personally, what I prefer to look at on this one is the weekly. I want to get a little bit more granular here. Let's look at the price indicators real quick. You got RSI is relatively neutral. It's at 49. Let's look at the MACD. MACD is getting closer and closer to this trigger line. You see the blues above the orange, but we're getting closer and closer to getting above zero. Stochastic RSI has crossed down. Nothing super concerning to me, because the readings on it themselves, you see this blue indicator here at 49. You see how it's at, you can't do it, but you see the left-hand corner there, it says 49.21. It's well above 20, right? So as long as we don't decline too rapidly in price and sort of stabilize, what should happen with the stochastic RSI is we should flatten out and begin to cross up. And it's good it's above 20, because 20 is that trigger line. So, so the price indicators look relatively healthy. And now, what do we have going on here? Well, I've spoken about this descending resistance that we've broken above. And we had broken up, once we broke the descending resistance, the other thing I should focus on here, once we broke it, I love to hit on this anytime it comes up on a live stream. By the way, appreciate the support. I see the likes coming in, the viewers. I know this is a relatively small channel at the moment, but I've noticed several of you consistently showing up each week, and it really does mean a lot to me, and I appreciate it. So you see all this resistance here, right? The descending resistance. Look what happened once we broke the descending resistance. We back tested it as support. How many times have I pointed that out on this channel, right? So not surprising. And again, if you're waiting to get into an entry and you're sort of waiting for confirmation, when you run into a situation where you feel like you're missing the gravy train here, be patient, because quite often what happens is this. You just have to wait for a pullback. Never, ever, ever, ever. Never financial advice on this channel, but my suggestion is never to, oh God, what is the terminology? Never, basically you don't want to buy into an uptrend like this on the breakout, okay? You want to wait for a pullback, right? Forget the terminology now. I'm losing the saying. But anyway, now similar to XRP, remember how we were talking about XRP? I really wanted 50 cents maintained. Well, similar comment for Cardano. We broke out above this major area of price confluence around 40, 41 cents. We've since broken back down below it with the rest of the market as that has corrected. So I really want to push back above 40 cents. 40, 41 cents is what I want to get above. There's not a clear breakout to 60, but I don't want to overcomplicate the chart. I don't want to point out every area of resistance and price confluence on the chart. But once we stabilize, okay, once we push back up into this 40, 41 cent area, the next major area of resistance I have identified on the chart is right around 60 cents. And you know what? I actually want to create a zone here because I'm seeing there's additional price confluence I actually would like to point out here. So there's really a zone. The next major zone of resistance on Cardano, that works beautifully. And let's make that 66 cents, round down. So there's really a major area of resistance between 60 and 66. So I'm not saying we can't push up here to 50, a psychological level, and get rejected, but really the major area, the next major area after that 40 cent level is 60 to 66 cents. Okay, so that's what you want to watch for on Cardano. Let's get into, apparently I was going to look at a monthly with Cardano. Okay, well, I have two charts open for Cardano. Maybe I was planning on speaking to Cardano on a monthly. You know what, let's take a look at it anyway. Oh, wow. Maybe this is why I wanted to take a look at Cardano on a monthly. You can see the descending resistance. We broke out above. But I want to take a look at one thing in particular on Cardano. Now, this is the monthly. There's one thing in particular with Cardano. Let's real quick take a look at the monthly close on April and look at the MACD. Wow. Look at this. Look at how close we are to crossing. Now, we still have to get above the zero trigger line, which is all the way up here. Okay, so we still have quite a bit of work to do to get above here. Probably won't get above there until late summer, early fall. But case in point is the actual positive cross on the MACD, which is very encouraging if you're in Cardano. This thing looks like it's just about kissing here, okay? These two lines are like in love with each other and they just want to fucking make out. But I don't know where that came from. But the point is these lines are getting very close, okay? So very encouraging to see the MACD on the monthly for Cardano. Let's see what we got here. Rashid says, CBG, what sort of sports you into? Do you mean to play? I don't play sports. I played when I was a teenager and a kid. What sports do I like to watch? I'm a huge NFL fan. In particular, I mean, anywhere you look in my office, I got Eagles. I mean, I have this for my coffee in the morning. I mean, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Born and raised in eastern Pennsylvania, so I bleed green. Baseball was my first love, so I still catch the Phillies, love the Phillies. Sixers, you know, basketball I've been on and off, I watch, but mainly I'm one of those fans who I really just like watching the playoffs, to be honest with you. So Sixers are in the playoffs, so I'll catch that. Hockey I've never gotten into. Soccer is fun to watch, just like when it's the World Cup. That's fun, but I like to go out, you know, have some beers or something and have fun with that. But that's mainly it. I also hate Bud. Feel like it belittles people unless they're a child. Fucking thumbs up. FOMO. Nice. All right, let's get back to the charts. Appreciate the question. All right, Solana. You know, I had tweeted this out earlier today. Now, for me, there's definitely not enough price data here to look at the monthly. I don't think it's very meaningful. But I just want you to stare at this chart for a moment, okay? maybe it would help. Maybe it would help. Just get a different perspective on this. Look at a line chart, okay? What I had tweeted out is there's a lot of people shitting on Solana, okay? And I'm not here, again, I'm not here to have a fundamental discussion in terms of how many times Solana has been down, their network has been down, because that is funny in itself. But when you look at this chart, I mean, at least for me, this is a very beautiful chart. Very beautiful chart. We've been in this massive downturn. This was sort of a fake out down here. I remember calls for like $2 to $5 Solana. We got all the way down to like 7, 8. Okay, this was a little bit of a fake out here. I viewed that as a huge buying opportunity. I know I tweeted that much. You can go back to my tweets. And we've come up here and we've sort of consolidated in this range. And the thing that I was pointing out with Solana is we are at a really big pivotal point. And the reason I say that is because all this downward resistance, you can see we are pressed up it right now, and we're also in the midst of this support. We are sort of coiled up here. It's decision time. Now, there's really one of 3 scenarios that could play out. Price action could actually just go through descending resistance and just continue to do one of these things. We could fall down and more than likely fake out and come right back up, or we could just break right through descending resistance. Okay, those are the 3 scenarios. But the reason that I'm also really bullish on this setup, what's up, YC? The other reason I'm really bullish on this setup is because I understand the more macro perspective picture that I've shared with you guys on the crypto market as a whole. We are in the midst of a massive turnaround in crypto. So I think the scenarios that are most likely for Solana is to continue consolidating, breaking the resistance, and then eventually break up, or whether it's this week, next week, or the following week, we're just going to get a big green candlestick to come up into this range and then maybe back test this area of support and continue moving up, right? So that's what I would watch for on Solana. Let's take a look again. This is the weekly. Let's take a look at the price indicators. Okay, so the weekly MACD, we're getting closer and closer to inching up towards our 0 trigger line, okay? Momentum is continuing to pick up. The RSI is still a little oversold. It's at 46, has plenty of room to run to the upside. Stochastic RSI, it's sort of trending down. You can see it's trending down. Blue is below orange, which isn't good, but the blue and orange are very close together. And the blue at 48, the blue line at 48 is well above 20 our trigger line, so nothing overly concerning there. Keep an eye on Solana. This has the potential to make a large move up towards 36. I would keep an eye on Solana. Don't lose sight of it. Doge, this is on the monthly. I know I had tweeted this out, some similarities with Digibyte, which we're going to get into next. Now, Doge is one of these ones that historically over time, I mean, don't fight the trend. If there was ever a chart, okay? If there was ever a chart to look at, what's up, Brendan? Good to see you in here. If there was ever a chart to look at where you really wanted to illustrate the point of not fighting a trend, this would be your chart. Why in the world would you want to be bearish on Doge? Again, I'm not here to talk about fundamentals. I'm here to look at the chart. Why would you be bearish on this thing? Like, I don't understand. I have no idea. This is a monthly view, okay? I also want you to focus on something interesting I wasn't evaluating until really at about 3:45 this afternoon when I took a peek at this chart. Look at the 10 simple moving average, which is the blue line, and the 50 simple moving average. I'm not telling you that's going to play out this way. I'm just pointing out an observation, okay? The last time we broke this descending resistance and ended up moving up, the blue and purple lines that I just spoke to, the moving averages, they were sort of kissing and aligned with each other. The same sort of thing is going on. These lines are sort of kissing, and now we're pressed up against this descending resistance, okay? Now, I know Credible Crypto, a Twitter friend of mine, has been commenting that he is eyeing like a 5-cent level to buy in on Dogecoin. While I think that's possible, there's a whole range of possible scenarios. I don't think that's going to happen. I do not believe that's going to happen. Now, what you could get is you could get a wick down into this area. I see more probabilistic a scenario, a higher probability of a scenario, not that we hit 5 cents, but that we hit somewhere around 6 cents to 6 point, all the way down to 6.9 cents. Anywhere between 6 to 6.9, I think that's more likely than bleeding all the way down to 5. If you do get an opportunity, in my opinion, this thing really does exhibit a high degree of volatility, which again is completely possible, and we come down to this area, we are not going to be staying down there. Okay, we will not stay down there. In my opinion, it'll be a quick wick and a move back up, but I don't think we're going to get down to 5 cents. So this thing is setting up very interestingly that we're sort of just coiled in this area here. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. If we go to the monthly and look at the price indicators, MACD looks great. Again, these things are almost kissing. What I love about this setup here on the MACD, this zero trigger line is right here. I mean, we are like right there. So as soon as we get across, we're going to be above zero, okay? RSI has plenty of room to the upside because we're only at 46. Stochastic RSI is above 20, which is great to see, and 37, 38, we're basically like, they're kissing each other. So stochastic RSI looks healthy and fine. This MACD is what I'm focused on. This MACD. This has the opportunity, as many of these other alts do, and I would say the greatest strength within the monthly MACDs that we've looked at have been, Ethereum, XRP looks good, but I would say Ethereum, ADA, Cardano, and Doge have the healthiest looking MACDs that they could go green and positive pretty quickly depending how May and June set up. So really keep an eye on this again. And again, it's keeping this perspective on your investments is critical to your success so you don't become emotionally invested, right? It's important to take yourself out of the forest, get yourself in a plane and helicopter, and look at the entire forest rather than all the trees around you. Meaning, it's important not to look at the day-to-day, not zoom out. You got to zoom out, get in that private jet of yours, and look at the entire forest by looking at monthly views and 2-week views and weekly views, because it will keep you grounded and keep your perspective on things. Digibyte. Again, I don't know why you would fight this trend. I don't know why. And there's a little bit more homework I want to do on Digibyte, because what I was wondering on Digibyte, and I don't have an answer to this question, I have more research to do, but what I've been wondering is if this is an irregular expanded flat correction where you have the A, the B, and the C. Actually, this C does not go lower than your A. I have more homework to do there. I know a lot of basics of Elliott wave structure, but I am not an expert at Elliott wave structures. So I need to study this one a little bit more to understand. But right now, nothing has changed on Digibyte. We are just hanging out and we are consolidating. And again, I love this chart. I love the project in general. You'll find that I tweet about Digibyte very often. I love the community. I love the project itself. I love the fact that this thing has been around since really the beginning. There's a lot of price data. This is a beautiful looking chart. I love the symmetry. There's just a whole lot I love about the project and the technical. So I do talk about it pretty regularly. Anywho, what you can see is we've broken out from this downward resistance. Now, this is the scenario kind of I spoke to with Solana. Remember when we were back at Solana? And I said, one of the scenarios I could see happening here is we actually break the descending resistance doing this, and then we break up. Well, look at what Digibyte has done. That's what it's done. It's broken the descending resistance, and it's just kind of been going sideways, right? Ultimately, what I want to see for Digibyte, let's maintain this price zone between 0.8 cents and 0.9 cents. I want to stay right in this zone, okay? You can see for the month of April, we closed right at 0.9 cents, right above it, 0.932, okay? Thank you, YC. Appreciate the love and support. Appreciate it. Glad to know it's mutual. Oh, you want a little flex? I can give you a little flex. There's a flex. Got a little flex? Get my flex on. Man, can't flex the right arm all the way, but surgery went well. It's just I'm not 100% mobile. Is that irregularity bullish for Digibyte? So I was talking about this irregular expanded flat correction. Yes, it would be. I just have to determine, first off, if that, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, then yes, it would be. I just have to determine, first off, if that, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, then yes, it would be. I just have to determine, first off, if that, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, then yes, it would be. I just have to determine, first off, if that, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, then yes, it would be. I just have to determine, first off, if that, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, then yes, it would be. I just have to determine, first off, if that, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, then yes, it would be. I just have to determine, first off, if that, if that expanded flat correction is irregular, if if that pattern is present in the chart, I first want to confirm it before I go around saying that's what's there, because I don't know with certainty. But two, if it was present, yes, it would definitely be very bullish. I just have to confirm that. So I don't want to say too much about that pattern yet, but at least wanted to point it out that I'm doing my due diligence, fitting in that in there to do some homework there. Anyway, getting back to the chart here, let's look at the price indicators. I want to talk about this moving average as well. Couple things. Oh, this is looking very nice. Let's get to this MACD. Look at this MACD. This MACD is getting closer and closer to crossing here, and you can see the histogram is getting less and less bearish, okay? Now, the only thing I will point out, we need a big move up for Digibyte. We need a big move up. And this thing historically, when it makes a move, it makes a large motherfucking move, all right? The reason I say we need a large move, look at where the zero trigger line is. It's all the way up here, all right? Now, if we can manage to get an explosive move to the upside within a month or two, this thing very quickly can move up, okay? You can see it has happened in the past. I mean, we were way down here in March of 20, and before you knew it, we got across in July of 20. So was that July? No, wait, hold on a second. March of 20, July of 20, yeah. So that only took 4 months. That only took 4 months. Wow. So that's pretty impressive. So even though we're down here, you know, we get some explosive moves to the upside. In 4 months, we could be above zero. 5 months. 6 months. So maybe by August timeframe. So not August timeframe. Sorry, this was March back here. 5 months from now would be. We are in May, so that would be October. Okay, I can count. I can do basic arithmetic. That's why they pay me the big bucks. Yes, so maybe in 5 months we can get above here. So watch for that. The other thing I wanted to point out here. RSI, waiting for confirmation here. Every single time we've had a positive cross on this RSI shown here with a moving average, just focus on the purple and orange line. That's all you got to do. When purple crosses the orange, you can see we have large moves up, right? When we got this cross here, we had an explosive move. That was a monumental move. We had the cross here. You can see a large move up. I'm just waiting for that cross to come in here. How about stochastic RSI? I'm not showing, so we don't need to focus on that. But the other thing I wanted to focus on here is look what happens when we get above this 21 exponential moving average on the monthly. You can see when we closed above it, we stayed above it and rode it up. Now this thing is sitting at an interesting level because there's price confluence right at 1.8 cents. So for me, evaluating the monthly, what is the key level? The number one key level I want to see Digibyte get above and hold, it's 1.8 cents. 1.8 cents. Now we're sitting just shy of a penny. Okay? So from current price levels, it needs to double. And if you think this thing cannot double quickly, you have not studied the price chart much at all. This thing can double very quickly. So 1.8 cents is the level I'm watching for first. Then it's 3.3 cents. Really, things are not going to get very juicy in Digibyte until we start clearing 1.8 cents first. That's when you can start to have just a little mini celebration, Once we clear 3.3 with volume and we hold that, things are really starting to pick up. And then we need to have some serious conversations regarding where the market is at and where Digibyte is likely going. We're going to get into Casper next. Get off this chart. This is the chart I wanted to look at. All right. Let's get back to the charts here. So you're welcome, YC. So this is Casper. I spent a little bit of time, I think, talking about this on Friday, right? So Casper is looking very bullish. So full disclosure. One of the things that I had tweeted out earlier this week that I'm very grateful for is I have you guys should know this. I shared this with you. I got a new job recently. Left a very good organization for another opportunity, and part of that was part of the benefit to joining the new organization was I got a signing bonus, and the signing bonus, the way they worked it out for me to get to the level that I needed the signing bonus at, They split it into 2 payments, okay? So I got my first payment right up front. The second payment is being paid to me in 2 weeks, okay? You know where that's going, okay? Not buying a new car with that. A lot of people would take that money and they'd be like, oh my God, I want to go out and spend it and go on a vacation and buy a car. No. I see too much opportunity in this market. If I feel confident I could take my money and turn it from, say, $1,000 into $10,000, I'm going to do the smart thing and invest it, okay? That's how you increase the likelihood that you're going to not only be financially secure, but also financially independent at a much younger age than the majority of the population. Case in point is, the whole reason I bring this up is I'm evaluating where I want to put the majority of that. I plan on diversifying. I'm not going to put it in one project. So one of the projects that I am contemplating putting the majority of it in is Casper. This thing is in the middle of a beautiful trend direction to the upside. Look at this as well. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? We got some nice rounded, it's almost like a rounding bottom, and we're starting to get a little bit parabolic. Now, typically, if this really does play out, we're really going to start picking up and then coming back. But point is, what I really wanted to see for Casper and why I'm really, really, really bullish on this is you can see that we, first off, with this weekly candlestick, look at the volatility here. We were all the way down at 3.3 and went as high as 6.1. Welcome to crypto. We broke above 5.6 cents, and we closed immediately below it, which I didn't want to see. We closed right back above it. And now, with this weekly close and where we're sitting at, we're above 5.6 cents, which I love to see. My next, again, things move quickly. When I got into this thing at 2.6 to 2.8 cents, thanks to Encash, Nick, and thanks to a few others who are also trying to tell me to get into this thing way back here, we've almost tripled in size since then. And where I ultimately see this going, and we're going to look at the price indicators, is we're going to, in my opinion, soon, and I want to be careful with the word choices I use here, so long as the market really does sustain itself over the course of the next 4 to 8 weeks here, okay? Whether it's this month, whether it's June, I think relatively soon we're going to be pushing up into this area. I really firmly believe that. That would be 7.5 to all the way up to 11 cents, okay? Once we start clearing 11 cents, I want to come back to here. I'll probably create a Casper specific, it's on my list, altcoin video, kind of talking about expectations, but really looking at this 7.5 to 11 cent area. Check out the price indicators. Look at the MACD. We are beautiful on the weekly. We're above zero our trigger line. Look at that histogram picking up momentum. RSI, now watch the RSI. It's at 65. It's a very healthy bullish level. Once we start getting up into that mid to upper 70 range, that's a caution flag. That thing is getting a little overextended. It's one of those things we were evaluating on Injective Protocol when I said that it was more likely that we were going to top at $10 and have a pullback. We were looking at that RSI. It was up in the 80s, okay? So just keep an eye on the RSI. It's very bullish. It's very healthy. But you really want to start keeping a more cautious tone when we get up into that mid-70, upper 70 level. Stochastic RSI looks just fine. I know we've negatively crossed 78 below 83, but it still looks very healthy. Got a few questions coming in here. How long were you with the other company before you left? I'd be curious why you're asking the question, actually. Are you someone I know? How long was I with the other company? I was there for basically, I want to say November, December. I was there for just about 4.5 years. Just about 4.5 years. So a little shy of 5. I think I'm counting right. No, was it 18? Or was that 17? No, that was 17? No, wait a second. When the hell did I join? That was, okay, so that was 17. No. I was at my previous employer I'm sorry, I miscounted. But did I? I was at my previous employer I had resume somewhere on my computer, but I'm not gonna go to that. It was either 5.5 years or 4.5 years, and now I'm trying to remember if I joined in 2017 or 18. I think it was 18. I think it might have been 18, but regardless, 4.5 or 5.5 years. Okay, so let's digress from the charts for a moment because we have a very good question here. And I want to answer this because I think this is time well spent because I think a lot of people could be in this situation or may be in this situation. So here's Track. Thank you for asking this question. This is a very good question. Let's listen to what this individual is saying, he or she. I was asking the question because I was with my company. Well, you were with your company or you are with your company? You're using past tense. I was with my company for 20 years and I got another job offer and I don't know if I should take it or not. So I'm assuming you're not talking in the past tense. You have been with your company for 20 years and you got another job offer and you don't know if you should take it or not. So here's what I think you should consider. Number one, I think that you should not allow money to be the sole determinant of your decision. Compensation is an important decision factor in changing jobs, but it should not be the main focal point because I think that ultimately will not lead to happiness. That's my opinion. So you have to factor in compensation, okay? That is an important component, but it shouldn't be all about the money. Second, let's focus on compensation. Whenever you leave a job, there's a risk premium built into there. Especially you've been at your organization for 20 years. You need, at this job offer, they better give you a substantial pay increase over what you're making. You better not leave for a 10% pay increase. It better be 15%, 20%, something substantial over what you're getting. 10% to me is not enough, okay? It needs to be something substantial. The other question you need to ask yourself is the organization that you're joining, the relative level of stability and job security associated with that specific organization, as well as the job field you're in. Please understand, my own personal view of the economy, getting away from charts, is unemployment rates are going to go a lot higher, in my opinion. And I don't think that's going to materialize itself until going in towards the end of this year, 2024. But the reason I say that, and I had to contemplate that in my position, is I felt monumentally secure in my position. So that's something I definitely had to weigh. Weigh your job security. You want to feel secure going in this next position. How secure do you feel with that position? All right. The industry you work in, the organization you're going to. Third thing I would share with you is, why are you entertaining this job? What is it about the current situation that you're in that is causing you to think about this job offer? Okay, you obviously didn't just get a job offer. More than likely, you were interviewing for it, right? So there was something about that situation. There's something about the situation you're in that you don't feel fulfilled in some way. Like for me, I'll share with you one thing about my prior role was I felt my job was too easy in many ways, and I didn't see that changing. I wanted something different, and I wanted something a little bit more challenging, okay? I wanted to be challenged in different ways. I just felt my job was getting too easy and too routine, and I did not see that changing at all whatsoever. So that's a personal question you need to ask yourself. And the last thing I will share with you is... The last thing I would share with you, by the way, based on pay again, look at the overall benefits packaging. Consider that in the full picture as well. Just make sure you consider that, not just base pay and bonus. But the last thing I would cause you to think on is you have to, in life, in my opinion, you need to take calculated risks in life. You have to. If you do not take calculated risks in life, your life will be complacent. It will be boring. You will. I don't see how you won't look back and have some form of regret for not trying this or trying that. I think the worst thing you can do in life is live an average life. I think that's the worst thing you can do. I do not want to be an average person. That is the worst. That is my worst nightmare. I do not want to be like everyone else. I want to take calculated risks in life. I want to look back and know that I was logical and grounded, and maybe this went wrong or didn't go according to plan, or this didn't go right, or I was unsuccessful at this, or I had a setback with this. But that's better than just coasting and being complacent and saying, I'll give you an example. My brother, I see I'm losing some viewers, so maybe we should get off this topic. My brother is a great example. And he was someone who, quite frankly, and I hope he would be willing to admit to this, bitched and complained about his job forever. And quite frankly, it was irritating and annoying to listen to. I'm just being honest. Because as a grown man, you can do something about that. And I don't want to hear the excuse that, I'm kind of looking for another job. Nah. If someone lights a fire under your ass, you will find something better. Okay? You will consider all your options and you'll find something. It's no way to live, in my opinion, to be miserable and bitch and complain to other people, because quite frankly, we don't want to hear it. You're a grown-ass man. Go do something about it. Okay? And so, long story short, he was put in a situation where he was losing his job, and he was forced to find something. And I said to him at that point, I said, this is probably a blessing in disguise. I know you don't see it that right now. You got a great, termination package because he was there for a long time. But I said, Chris, all you do is you complain about your job, and you're so negative about it all the time. Like, do something about it. And I said, this is something that will hopefully bring out something positive. I really believe that. I really think this is going to open your eyes that you did not need to be working at this place. So long story short, I'll get off the topic. He ends up getting this other job. I'm very proud of him. He's in a management position. He's making a lot more money. Okay. He's doing something, it sounds like, that where he not only brings value to the table, but I get the sense from him that he's excited about what he's working on. He seems a lot more positive. I get no negativity whatsoever about his job. So, I'm just saying, you gotta, as much as that was forced upon him in a sense, I'm so glad it happened for him. And I'm sure he has that perspective as well. The point is you have to take calculated risks in life. I just think life would be so boring if you didn't. So, Track, I hope that completely in a robust manner answers your question. Consider all those factors. 20 years is a long time. But sometimes in life, when the opportunity presents itself, you got to do the gut check too. You got to take calculated risks. If I solely based the decision of employment on who I enjoyed working with, I never would have left my company. Great people. I have nothing negative, not one negative thing to say about people that I worked with at my former company. Okay? So if I purely based my decision on that, I never would have left. But obviously, it's a multifactorial decision to change jobs. So a lot to consider. Let's get into 4 more charts. I've been talking for so long. Oh, wait, Casper. Why is Casper up again? Get this off. I have 3 more charts, and then you're welcome. 3 more charts, and then I don't know how much time we're going to have for Q&A, but I did promise that I would leave a little bit of time, so I said plenty of time, but you can see this live stream's going for God knows how long. So this is H-bar. Now, the first thing, and this is on a 2-week chart, again, monthly, not as much price data as I would like to see, so I'm not going to the monthly. By the way, comment on H-bar. I have some scratch work on the side, and there is some work that I want to do. You know, an H bar. I think he was a fellow H barbarian. Maybe you're watching this and listening right now, and you know this is you. Someone brought up to me way back in 2021 when I was coming up with price projections for all these different projects, including H bar. Someone brought up to me, "Hey, aren't you worried about the dilution and the circulating supply and how much additional supply is going into the market?" And I was like, you know, I mean, quite frankly, I feel like I poo-pooed it and didn't look into it as much as I should have. And something I've been giving more attention to, and for those that are not subscribed to Tech Dev 52's newsletter, it's something he's been giving more credence to. He's really looking at circulating supply and how much additional supply is coming into the market, factoring into his altcoin projections, right? Now, I'm not going that far. He's actually, and I don't want to say too much because you got to subscribe to the newsletter. I don't want to give things away. But one of the things he's considering is instead of looking at USD value price targets, let's look at market cap targets based on, you can think of it as share dilution, crypto token dilution. And I think it's an interesting thought-provoking point of view. Now, I'm not going that far, but something I've been doing kind of off to the side now. I started back in, in May? I started this back in February. And I want to do a little bit more work is I really want to take a hard look at projects including HBAR, Harmony One, Decentraland, name me any project, Casper, any of these projects. I want to take a look at how much dilution is taking place and have a conversation regarding how that could theoretically impact future price projections, right? Because it will have an impact. What I'm saying is, in general, before we cover this chart, if you're trying to calculate the USD value of a crypto project like HBAR, right? If you have 10 units of it versus 10,000, obviously if you only have 10 units, it's easier to move that price up. There's a lower number in the denominator. If you start increasing the denominator at a rapid rate, it's going to cause that ratio to decline in value, that USD value, okay? So I think it is a very important point to take a look at the dilution that's taking place. It's the same premise in, it's why as a shareholder owning stocks, you want to avoid offerings, okay? What the hell is it called? God, I've been out of stocks for so long now, but dilution via price offerings, share offerings, okay? You're basically allowing additional shares to flood the market to help support the equity behind the project, but it dilutes the price. That denominator gets higher and higher and higher, and it cuts out the numerator. You see large sell-offs in prices when that happens. It's not even sell-offs. What happens is there's an additional offering to get into the man, I am really fumbling. But there is a public offering. Christ, I could not think of the word. There's a public offering with stocks. And when that happens, the denominator like instantaneously dilutes and you see plummets in the share value of stocks. Similar concept with crypto projects is if there's a lot of dilution, there's a lot of new coins entering circulating supply, that's going to dilute the USD value in investors. So I think it's an important conversation to have. And the reason I bring it up with HBAR is I was actually quite surprised. I go back in time. They have had a lot of tokens enter circulating supply, which certainly hurts the USD value. So something we can talk about. But with HBAR, what I like to see here is, this is on a 2-week. You can see we have all this resistance. We've broken out and we've been back testing and riding it. Now, right now, I have a key area of support on HBAR right around 5.9 cents. I've joked that a lot of these projects, not just HBAR, Harmony One, you can name me any project. They've been like a stable coin, kind of staying around kind of current prices, single prices. HBAR has been hovering around this 5-6 cents forever. So really, what it's about is getting above 9.3 cents to 10.8. 10 cents is going to be a psychological level for HBAR. It's going to be psychological, right? So we're chipping and chopping in here, but really things aren't going to get juicy until we start getting up here. I really want to break 9.3 cents with conviction and start pushing up towards 10 cents. Again, this is a 2-week chart. MACD, you can see we're getting very close to our zero trigger line. I have identified a key area on the RSI on the 2-week at 50. Look for the RSI to break above 50. If we go to the weekly real quick, you can actually see on the weekly, the MACD is getting closer and closer. Now, we don't want this to cross down, but this is a lot closer to our 0 trigger line, getting closer and closer and closer. Let's get to Harmony 1. Real quick, what I want to point out on this chart, the point of this is not to say over here that Harmony 1 is going up to 94 cents. That's not what I'm saying, although I think that is a realistic price target. That's not what I'm saying on this chart. I want to remind everyone, this is my reminder to everyone, how quickly price moves. Way back here in 2020, okay, keep in mind, I believe we're at a similar point as we were back in late September 2020, okay? So back in late 2020, look where we were hovering. And then in a span of 12 bars, this is a weekly view, in 3 months, we went from a half a cent all the way up to 23 cents. In 3 months. Now again, the reason I'm illustrating this is if the market really is topping near the end of the year, we can actually shift this maybe more towards the end of the year. Keep in mind your altcoins, based on the way this has worked in times past, Bitcoin's going to be the first one to top, and then your alts are going to top after that. If this really is a year-end story, you really only need 3 months based on history to have a huge run, right? Which would be, in this case, I'm showing October to January, right? Or through December, right? In 3 months, and if we had a similar run, we could run from, 2 cents all the way up to 94. Now, 97 cents. I'm not telling you this is what's going to happen. It's more so to visually depict what happened before so that you can appreciate that when things seem stagnant and we're just consolidating, if you understand from a macro perspective where the rest of the market is at and you feel convicted that we're going to massively appreciate in value, this is how quickly things move. In 3 months, we went from a half a cent to 23 cents, okay? There's no reason in the span of 3 months we couldn't do something like this even, 60 cents or whatever the case is. There's absolutely no reason we couldn't pull a 30x in 3 months. You just go back to history and you've seen this sort of thing happen before. We have downward resistance we need to break here. We're hovering in between right now. We're really just, let's just call a spade a spade. We're sitting at like 2 cents, all right? Nothing's going to really get interesting in Harmony 1 until we start pressing up above 3 cents and hold it as support. We got to get up above 3 cents, hold it as support. Then we're talking about 4, 5.4, etc. Let's take a look at the MACD. MACD is very similar to H-bar. Guys, if you've been paying attention, I have drawn a lot of chart similarities between H-bar and Harmony 1. A lot of chart similarities. A lot of these projects have a lot of commonalities, okay? You can see the MACD is starting to get closer and closer to getting above 0. RSI is still a little oversold at 44. We still have a lot of room to run to the upside. This thing's just consolidating. We made a massive move up from basically a penny all the way up to 3 cents. Okay, we did a 3x. And since then, we're just chipping and chopping around 2 cents, all right, with the rest of the market. So nothing super new to report here. We need to push up and stay above 3 cents. The last project on the list that we are here to discuss, I'll turn it over to you before I start. What am I having for dinner? Bronzino? The hell am I making? I forget. Something. Oh, Bronzino. Yes, I'm having Bronzino and maybe some asparagus. Before I start making dinner, we're going to take a look at Mana. Now, this is on a weekly. Again, I don't want to look at this thing on a monthly. I'm not interested. I want to look at this thing on a weekly. You could even look at it on a 2-week. I've talked about the bull pennant. You can see the pole, the pennant, the falling wedge. Nothing really has changed here. We really need to start breaking up above 81 cents, hit the psychological level of $1 and break up towards $1.12. I know from watching this chart pretty closely over the years and being invested in this thing, I know getting above 81 cents and in particular $1.12 is a big deal. So those are really the levels you want to watch for. On the weekly, you can see the MACD. We don't want it to cross down. It's getting closer and closer to this trigger line at 0. And the RSI is, oh man, stochastic RSI needs to pick up. No momentum here. Stochastic RSI is at 0. We need this thing to get above 20. No momentum. And the RSI is still oversold at 42. Now, when this thing moves, it moves. But for right now, it's just stagnant with the rest of the market, just sort of consolidating after a big move from 29 cents all the way up to 86 cents, okay? So that was about a 60, 81, more than a 3x, okay? Oh, BCH. I got a question on BCH. Thank you, CL. Forgot about that. Got a question on BCH. Yes, we can absolutely take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Haven't charted it in a while. Haven't had anyone ask about it. It's kind of been not very exciting, to be blunt. Yeah, this thing is just not very exciting, to be honest. Let's look at there's enough price data to look at a monthly chart on this thing. Yeah, I gotta say, very disappointing that I want to put things in perspective here, okay? This is all the way, let's have an honest conversation about Bitcoin Cash because this thing has not been performing well. This is 2019. This is, December technically of 18. This was our low at 74. But once we consolidated here and got back up, we were basically at like the 120 level, okay, all the way back in 2019. Look where we're at right now. We're at the same level that we were at back here in 2019. That is no bueno. Is no bueno. And there's a major area of price confluence here I've identified somewhere around 180. I mean, on a monthly, I think I identified it on a weekly. You could draw it at 170, 180, all the way up to like, 215, right around there. I'd actually, on the monthly, I would draw this closer to there. So there's this level around 166 we're below. We really need to start pushing up towards 200. This has a lot of weakness. This chart does not look healthy. Very disappointed in the price performance here. I own a very, very, very small amount of Bitcoin Cash. Traded it a little bit back in the day. Haven't touched it in a long time. I own a little bit. Now, one encouraging thing I will say. This MACD cross, similar to XRP, we had the MACD cross on the monthly back in January of 22. Can you believe that? That was 17 months ago. Wow, 16, 17 months ago. Look at the MACD. We're about to cross positive. So it's entirely possible, okay, even though price performance on Bitcoin Cash is very weak, yes, unbiased and data-driven. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. Sometimes I'm going to tell you guys what you don't want to hear or what I even don't want to hear, but I'm going to assess the chart for what it is. Keep an eye on Bitcoin Cash though, because even though this chart in general is very weak, we have this downward trend that we'll have to see if we can break out. Maybe we double top up here. Sometimes what happens is we do get to a point of the cycle. We don't have a lot of data to go off to base this decision, just going based on the past in 2019 through 21. Sometimes as Bitcoin starts to regain some momentum, you will see some decent pops in Bitcoin Cash. And the other reason I bring this up is this MACD is setting to cross. Now, this crossing positive doesn't mean that price is going to explode, but it's at least one indicator to say, okay, the thing has been negative for 15 months. It's crossing positive. There could be some serious momentum building, even if this is a weaker performer, which is obvious based on the chart. There's no reason we couldn't see some sort of huge green candle that could at least make a real strong move towards 215. Maybe I like that area right around there. There's no reason you couldn't see some sort of strong move as we get the MACD cross, as prices continue to recover, Bitcoin starts making some moves. No reason you couldn't see a little outperformance short term, relative to Bitcoin all the way up to $300 and then come back down and consolidate and then continue going up. So, this has a 2x, this has a 2 to 2.5x potential in the shorter term. So something still to keep an eye on. Sorry, CL, I don't understand your comments. Cash tokens, May 15th. Smart contracts on BCH. Cash tokens, May 15th, smart contract. I'll have to clarify your comment or drop me a DM. I'm not quite sure what you're pointing out. We have been going on this live stream probably the longest since I've been doing this every single day. So I'm going to sign out, guys. Tomorrow, just as a heads up, real quick, before you click the little X button, for tomorrow, I think what I'm going to emphasize is we'll take a look at Bitcoin. We'll kind of assess where Bitcoin is at. But I think what I want to do is I want to spend a little bit of time assessing altcoin strength relative to Bitcoin. Very important to understand the altcoins that you're in, and I'll elaborate on this tomorrow, but you really need to assess the overall strength in said altcoin relative to Bitcoin. It will give you sort of a leading indicator in terms of having a higher level of conviction for the ones that will outperform other altcoins, the ones that have a higher likelihood of performing really well against not only Bitcoin, but also their other altcoin peers, okay, other peers within the space. If you have a strong altcoin relativity chart relative to Bitcoin, you have a higher chance, a higher probability of continuing to outperform as we begin to see money flow back into the altcoins. So I think that's going to be the emphasis for tomorrow. But I wanted to thank everyone for who is new for tuning in, and I want to thank all of my faithful followers here for tuning in and coming back. I appreciate all the commentary here. Even if you want to ask me a non-crypto question, I'm always welcome to that. So, yeah, I guess come back tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow in a virtual sense. But everyone take care of yourself. Protocol upgrade. I'll take a look into that. Everyone take care of themselves. Have a good evening. If you're with family, enjoy your time with your family this evening. Have something healthy and delicious for dinner. If it is dinner time and I know some people are in the other parts of the world where it's morning time. So good morning to everybody. But no, enjoy your evening, enjoy your morning or afternoon wherever you're at. I will be right back here tomorrow. Everyone take care of yourself. Until next time, spread awareness. Let's spread awareness and carry the education forward. Take care, everybody.